This is a safe space. Let's see if we can figure this out.
Well, hey, you can struggle with that while I get glasses. Today, we are going to be tasting the Plank. And this is a Muscadine wine, a red wine. It says here a red table wine, and I'll zoom in a little bit closer so you guys can see this actual bottle. And it's really neat because they are based right here in North Carolina. You said the coast.
Yeah, so really close to the Outer Banks. It's a little town called Jarvisburg, North Carolina. So yeah, it's definitely out there on the coastal side of things, which is really interesting location to put a winery. So yeah, excited to be able to crack this thing open today and give it a try.
Yeah, and Muscadine wines are a little bit interesting. They're kind of known as like a super fruit or super grape, maybe, like a super grape with a lot of health properties. I mean, I've just been researching it recently to just brush up on like what it actually is. But I mean, they can get pretty huge.
Yeah.
And they're also, typically these Muscadine wines are going to be a little bit sweeter. So I'm excited to taste this, and then make sure you watch the following video because we're going to make a New York sour with that, because that's like kind of the idea. But well, why are we even like tasting this?
Yeah, so I mean, like, you know, it's just to kind of start off. I mean, for me, like, I've always been a fan of Muscadine grapes in general. I mean, Muscadine grapes are mostly grown kind of in like the southeastern United States, along for anywhere from like Florida up, and then all the way over like to Texas, Oklahoma. But primarily just, growing up, I, ate a lot of Muscadine grapes because we had a Muscadine vine on my grandparents' property. And so got to taste them a lot and just became one of like my favorite grapes just because they're very unique flavor to them. If you've ever had a Muscadine grape and ate one of those, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but also just a different type of texture as well. They got like a very leathery outside to it that pops off to open up to the inside, and it kind of comes out all separate in two different pieces, and then you got the seeds on the inside you got to work out. So it was like a little bit of work to be able just to eat the grape, so it was something different. But yeah, always loved these grapes growing up. But yeah, I mean, kind of got connected with this particular wine because went to one of our favorite bars downtown, in downtown Raleigh, called Foundation. And they were working on just, their next upcoming seasonal menu for cocktails. And one of the ones that they were making had this particular wine in it. And so
you didn't know at the time, though. You just knew it had wine in it.
Exactly. Yeah, I just knew it had a wine in it. And as we were sitting there talking to the bartender about the cocktail he was making, he just let us start to individually or try all the different individual ingredients within the drink. And this was the wine that was in it. And, as soon as I tasted it, I was like, man, like kind of brought me back to my childhood in a sense, like had a nostalgic moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, going back to the Muscadine grapes. And so had a little bit of a hard time finding this, ironically, being that it's from North Carolina. But finally was able to track it down at a local wine shop, which was awesome.
Probably many of you have had a Muscadine wine at some point, either in a drink or just in passing or somewhere, or maybe if you've been to a winery or something like that. South, I mean, it is kind of specific to the southern region or something like that, but I've never had this one. So I'm super excited. I'm going to let you open it because this is, let me see. This is wax. Okay. So there's wax all over this, right? I have not seen too many wine bottles that have wax. So I'm going to let you address that.
Yeah. They, like the Plank, just so you know, I mean, it's kind of a reference like to Blackbeard, because if you can see the bottle, the label there, there we go, right there. It's supposed to be Blackbeard. And so, kind of hearkening back to those days, bottles being sealed in wax to preserve them. But yeah, this is going to be an adventure. We'll do this together. It's a safe space. Let's see if we can figure this out.
Well, hey, you can struggle with that while I get glasses. Okay, so then now we need a wine opener. I'm always afraid it's gonna just careful all over here.
Yep, let it breathe for a second, but
yes, we're gonna let it breathe for just a little bit.
Ooh, it's got a nice little nose to it.
Put a nostril in there. Wow. That's definitely not your typical red wines.
Oh no.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested in knowing, I am looking at some of the top tier, what people consider as the top tier tasting notes for wine, like a wine website, which I'll link below. I'm excited for the aspect of potentially tasting coffee in this. So I'm going to read you the tasting notes. Again, we'll have our own here in a second. Coffee and oak. Plum, I immediately got. Red fruit is a little bit obvious. I mean, we are in that category. Yeah. And then earth.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe I'm getting like, I hope it doesn't mean dirt.
No.
But maybe like, or must, because some things can taste kind of musty. But that's the tasting. I mean, it's somewhere kind of, this is suggesting it's somewhere right in the middle of the bowl for everything. I mean,
yeah,
this should be your like run-of-the-mill, average, perfectly smooth wine, according to what this chart says.
All right, here we go.
Whoa. Wow. That's danger juice.
That is danger juice for sure.
Okay, this bottle, the way that this tastes is not, it's not like cranberry juice or like, sweet cherry juice or something like that. Cherry juice debatably might be even more bitter. This is somewhere just right in the middle that's like not quite, obviously not for kids.
Yeah.
But definitely don't put this in anybody's hands under 21 because this tastes like danger juice.
Yeah, it is like nowhere close to like being overly sweet. It's just like the perfect amount of sweetness.
Not overly sweet, but it's on the cusp.
Yeah.
It's right. It's right there, I think. Like in a New York sour, this is definitely, I think, going to take it to the next level. And if you didn't watch our Yellowstone video, we actually made a New York sour with the Yellowstone toasted barrel, which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But we just used like a cab. It was like it was like $9, I think.
We just grabbed a cheap bottle from the wine shop down the street.
And how much was this?
So the great thing about this is it's only $18. No, I paid for this bottle.
That's not bad.
It's relatively inexpensive as wine goes. Especially compared to bourbon, which we're used to dropping like $40-$50 bare minimum for a bottle.
Granted, you do drink wine more often. Or you drink more of it at one time, depending on who you are.
Right.
Maybe not us. Maybe we go through bourbon bottles the same rate people go through wine.
This really does a great job of
He's gone. He's cut off. Done. 12.5. Wait, 6% and I'm gone.
I feel like this does a really good job of bringing out the natural flavors of a muscadine grape and not like overpowering it by adding anything else in. You get the sweetness up front, but like you said, the sweetness doesn't overpower. It's just the perfect amount. And then from there, you get like some of like the tannic aspects you typically get with like grapes and wine.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit of that tartness on the end. And then you get a little bit of the alcohol along with it, but it's got a good viscosity to it. Like it's not super watery, but not super light, but it's just like, I don't know, man. Like they did a really good job of balancing this wine out. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, and it's right there in the middle between being super dry or sweet. I would say on this scale that I'm looking at here, I would believe that it is a little bit more towards sweet. It's suggesting it's a little bit more on the ratio. It's like just a tad towards dry. Now you all know, if you're able to pick up one of these bottles, we absolutely recommend it. I've never had it, but this is phenomenal. I definitely want to grab one for the house. It's going to be great by itself. Maybe after dinner. I don't know if I would super pair this with anything specifically, but after dinner it'd be great with your little cheese, maybe some crackers or something, but definitely in a cocktail I would recommend this. So that being said, make sure you go check out the next video we're going to do where we're going to make a New York sour. And if you've been looking for budget bourbons, that's coming up as well. So if you've been looking for what's really good, or what we would consider to be really good, somewhere in that even $10 to $30 threshold, which I know sounds low, then be looking forward to that. And make sure you subscribe to the Clever Ferrets channel so that you can be clever like us and join the community. By the way, we set up a Discord, or I set up a Discord. I don't even know if I told you that. There's a link to the Discord where you can come hang out. I've set up a couple channels. I set up a bourbon channel, a whiskey channel, a tequila channel. Anyway, go join the Discord, and you may or may not get a jacket. I'm not going to promise or talk about that at all. Make sure you subscribe. Let us know what you think of this wine or other Muscadine wines that you've tried down in the comments, and have a drink. Peace.